That tour was like something that I wanted to do to connect with the fans, really, and because there was no album or project out at that time, it was just like I wanted to get back out on the road and let people know that, you know, there's something on the way. And just so has it, that song, the Until the Pain Is Gone, was one of the first songs we kind of completed for the album. So yeah, so I got to introduce, so the hardcore fans kind of knew it was coming. And yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that I had the right, everything was aligned, you know, before really pushing it and making sure the album was right. So yeah, so now it's like full steam ahead, and the reaction to the song's been amazing, you know, and it's just great to put some new music out. I'm working on something, yeah, there's a little something, but I would say on the whole, you know, I'm not necessarily, you know, I don't try and cram my albums with features, you know, I like to get one or two if it happens naturally and it kind of works organically. So there's another one that I'm kind of working on now, and we feel like it might happen, but if not, it'll just be Jill, and there's not just Jill, I mean Jill Scott, like, you know, and a producer called Swindle who I worked with on it's like a joint song called Sympathy, which I performed tonight, and that's like a song that's on both of our projects, so he's going to be featured on my album as well. Yeah, there are obviously subtle differences. I think I always say the main difference in the US is that there's just like R&B and soul is more ingrained into the history and the culture of the US, you know, and people are more familiar with it. Not more familiar, but it's just a very almost natural state here, you know, and yeah, it's exactly what I'm talking about. But and in the UK, it's like an import. So people have there's a still massive admiration for it, but it's slightly different. It's more like it's a different kind of appreciation, but still, you know, a lot of appreciation. So and you know, and I always feel that, or in my experience, people a lot of the time feel you when you're not from where they're from, they find you more intriguing. So that's sometimes I find that, but on the whole, you know, my audiences are music lovers, you know, and I feel like I attract that wherever I perform. So it was, yeah, I mean, there's no words really. It's just disbelief, you know, really, because he's seen always so in control. You know, you feel like someone who's that in control of their destiny in a way, you know, his life and he seemed like the top of, you know, he pulled all the strings for everything, but you know, it kind of makes you realize he can't pull the strings for everything, you know. You know, it was just a shock to me that, you know, he couldn't control certain things that are, you know, out of his hands, and yeah, it was just with 2016 being like a year of losing a lot of celebrities, you know, like David Bowie and you know, like I said in the show, I kind of experienced loss around the same time I lost my manager, who had kind of been my manager from the start of my career. So it kind of mirrored losing Prince and him. It just, yeah, it was definitely put me in a funk for a while, but overall, you know, it gave me an interesting perspective in finishing off the album, and it definitely made me want to include that feeling and that perspective in the music. So yeah, there's a song just pretty much dedicated to Richard, and because it was my first time experiencing loss in general in my personal life, so I really just sat there with a producer that I worked with in the UK called George Moore, and we just had like a piano and just kind of let it, whatever it was, just kind of let it spill out and just my feelings on it. And yeah, I mean, it's still obviously very bittersweet, but it's nice to feel like he's a part of the album, you know, and he definitely was, even in terms of the making of it. So yeah, so he naturally, you know, that all naturally filtered into it. The title, The Spectrum, was really, it was a word that just kept recurring as I was writing, and I sometimes have these things and they kind of repeat in my head, and I push them aside for a while, but if it persists, then I feel like I have to entertain it, you know. And I think it was really, what made me do it is I started off writing the album, I felt like I had a vision for what the sound was going to be, and it was kind of leaning towards kind of like this dark, kind of ambient, like R&B soulful thing. And it started off like that, but then as I was writing it, I just wanted to go other places and wanted to have different vibes and different feelings on the album, and then that word kept coming back to me, so that it then ended up feeling like a spectrum, you know, a range of things and a range of feelings. So yeah, that's where it came from. I'd like people to take away you know, I just want to give people some more stuff to factor into their, you know, their daily lives. Like, that's one thing that I love about music, is if they can find that song that describes a situation for them, or helps them get through something, you know. And I feel like I'm some ambient noise in here tonight. I feel like I'm exploring some different themes, so, you know, hopefully they'll just be with me on the journey.